BBC News presenter Huw Edwards has been asked by the corporation to return more than £200,000 he was paid in salary after his arrest in November. He pleaded guilty last month to making indecent images of children, having resigned from his job in April. In an email sent today to all BBC staff, the chair, Samir Shah, said Huw Edwards had behaved in bad faith, taking licence fee money when he knew what he'd done. Our media correspondent David Silito is with me. So tell us more about this statement that's come out today, David.
Well, this is all when Huw Edwards pleaded guilty to charges related to child abuse, child sexual abuse, images at the end of July. It did raise a question for the BBC, because this was the first time we'd seen him in public since July of last year. He'd been suspended by the BBC on full pay until April of this year, when he left the corporation. Why do they continue to pay him? Today was the response of the people who oversee the BBC board, and Samir Shah, who said, "Let me be clear, the villain of this piece is Huw Edwards, the victims of those children for whose degradation Huw Edwards provided a market for." And he went on to say that while he felt the decision by the Director General to carry on paying until April was a considered and reasonable response, given that the assumption that Huw Edwards may have been guilty, but may have been innocent, he said the fact that he went on to plead guilty changed everything. He said Mr. Edwards behaved in bad faith. Throughout this time, Mr. Edwards knew what he'd done, but he still took licence fee money to the tune of hundreds of thousands of pounds, and went on to say the board fully support the decision of the executive, who've written to Mr. Edwards to return the money. So how much would that be? Huw Edwards was paid more than £475,000 a year. The BBC is looking to claw back more than 200. But remember, this is essentially a moral plea to Huw Edwards to hand the money back. It's not a legal process. If he decides not to, it's not entirely certain what will then happen.
And briefly, we're hearing there's going to be an independent review, an internal review as well.
Samir Shah says there is a continuing problem at the BBC about workplace culture. The BBC is going to institute an independent review led by an independent figure that will be looking at how it deals with bad or inappropriate behaviour by those in a position of power.
David, thank you. David Silito.